Good morning. Good morning, friends. Good morning, Denise. I'm happy to see you this morning. It's a frosty day. It's actually, I can't tell if there's frost blowing out of the trees or if it's starting to flurry even with the sun shining. It's kind of a cold day today. I know that people were saying on their way to work this morning, the roads were a little slick, so hopefully everybody's safe out there. Denise, you said you have a doctor's appointment, so be safe on your way to your doctor's appointment this morning. So let's get started this morning. I do want to get started with our Advent calendar for kindness because for some reason my iPad is not charging while it's plugged into my laptop this morning. And it's on 1%. I'm afraid it's going to die before we even get started. So for the 7th, today of December 7th, the Advent calendar says, for a random act of kindness, bake a treat for someone. Now, if you're not able to bake a treat for someone, maybe if you're out and about, you can pick up a little treat for someone and drop it off at their doorstep. And I'm not going to even bother putting my glasses on because I'm afraid I won't get to this in time. Today's act of kindness is to bake a treat for someone. Choosing to bake a treat for someone will be an act of kindness to the people who don't like baking and don't have the supplies. Everybody likes a treat when they are having a bad day or just any day. You should do this because everybody likes a treat, but some people don't have enough time to bake stuff. But if you do have more time, then you can bake something for them. You can go to any grocery store and get the ingredients to make a treat. Remember, these are from little sixth graders. They're so cute. When you are done making your treat, you can give them to someone in your neighborhood or someone you know. So here's the little artwork today by our little sixth graders showing someone baking a treat for someone to gift them for their day 1 of their Advent, day 7. I'm so confused this morning. Day 7 for their Advent calendar for kindness. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning. Let's get out our tea because I'm very anxious to see what our tea is. I loved yesterday's tea so much. I cannot tell you. Lynn, if you get a chance, go back and see the tea from yesterday. It was just amazingly adorable. I loved it. So what we have here is we have our Advent calendar for 24 days of tea. Papa Jim surprised me with this. It came in the mail a couple weeks ago. And so we're getting together every day to sample the teas. So let's go ahead and open up our Advent calendar. We'll show it to Lynn so she could see just how adorable it is. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm just off kilter this morning. Here we go. Look at that adorable little Advent calendar with a little diorama in the middle of it. Each little box has a different tea. And today is day 7. I did not put day 6 back yesterday. I have it right here. This is the one that I loved so much. Let's see if I can get it to show Lynn just how adorable it was. Lynn, look at the little star. Can you see the little star that's in there in that beautiful tea blend? And big crystals of sugar. Oh, I loved this tea. It was so good yesterday. I just loved brewing it. I'm enjoying this so much. So we're going to put day 6 back. We're going to grab day 7. Okay. Number 6 goes back in its slot. And I know you can't see. Oh, pardon my reach. Day 7, right up here in the corner, another little stripy box. So we're going to go ahead and remove that, set that down. We'll put our Advent calendar back to the side here. And let's see what we have. I have to have my spectacles, make a spectacle of myself this morning. And let's see what we have today. It's not pretty. I'm going to tell you right now. It's just a plain old tea blend today. But let's see what it is. This one is called Organic Japanese Sencha Tea, Sencha. I don't know. I'm not feeling as thrilled about this one as I was yesterday. Getting ready for appointment, but I'm watching as long as I can. Well, I'm just glad you're even here, Lynn. Welcome. I hope you get to stick around at least to see the tea leaf dance because we put these in a little, the infuser and the tea leaves dance. Okay, no sweetness, no fragrance. It's just going to be a nice plain tea. I don't have any lemon out, but I do have my honey at the ready. So what we're going to do is let's read the ingredients on this Japanese sencha, organic Japanese sencha tea. On the back of my box is a description of every single tea. It gives us all the ingredients and then also lets us know at what temperature to boil our water and how long to steep it. So let's go. Oh, here it is right here on my list. So the ingredients for our organic Japanese sencha tea, it's a green tea. And so we know we're not going to steep it very long. It's organic steamed green tea from Mount Fuji, Japan, and it's kosher. That's all it is. It's just a plain green tea. Now, I've been sharing with you guys since I've started on this journey. I don't know what the protocol is. I don't know what the rules are for different teas. So I don't even know with a Japanese green tea, am I supposed to add sugar or milk or anything like that? Or am I supposed to drink it solely as a green tea? Looking back here, it says we are to heat our water to 175 degrees, and we're only going to steep it for 1 or 2 minutes. So I have my tea kettle at the ready, my electric tea kettle. And what's really nice is, again, it has all of the little buttons on it. So I just have to push one button. It will heat it to the correct temperature, and then we're able to make our tea. So 175, it actually has a button for green tea. It's going to heat my water to 175 degrees, and I'm going to press start, and we're going to get that ready. While that's heating up, let's add the tea leaves to our diffuser. It's not a diffuser, it's an infuser. We're going to infuse the tea leaves. So here is our little infuser kettle that we have, which I'm really enjoying. And we're going to add our green tea leaves. And I can see as I'm pouring them, they are indeed very green. They're not like a black tea leaf. You can see the change in the color. We're going to add about half of our little canister here. And when our water is done, we'll bring the camera back down again and we'll add the hot water. We'll watch our little tea leaf dance, and then we'll move on to other things for today. What's really sad is if my iPad's not cooperating, I don't know if I'm going to get to share a story from my blog today. I'm going to have to see why it's not charging. So I'm going to move this aside, but let's do a mail call real quick. We have a mail call, and it's from Ormsby Farms, and I did not get to share this. This was sent way back in July. I'm so far behind on things. I am behind on reading my mail, and I am behind on sending my mail because I owe Lynn a postcard from Laura Ingalls Wilder's home, and I bought several of them. I just have to pick the right one. Lynn, you let me know while you're in chat right now. Would you like a postcard from the museum there at Laura Ingalls Wilder's home? I picked several. Or would you like for me to personally make a postcard with a program that I have? It's an app. I can take pictures we took, and I can even take a picture of a postcard, and it makes its own postcard. I can fill out the back, and it sends out, and it's a real postcard, and I could put some key things from the visit on there so you have some different pictures. Or do you want an actual postcard? Good morning, Gwen. Not supposed to drink green tea on an empty stomach. Well, I am indeed on an empty stomach. Does that mean that I'm going to have to go get those little pirouette little coffee cookies? Is that going to be an excuse to have those? I did not know I was not supposed to drink it on an empty tummy. So I am going to have something. Decisions. I know, huh, Lynn? I think we bought probably 10 postcards while we were there. But lately, for some of the things, like when we went to the kite festival for Jim's Kitchen, they didn't have a kite festival postcard. So we took different photos of the beautiful kites, and then a photo of Papa Jim and I in front of a beautiful kite. And I made a collage on this postcard program that I have. And then we sent them that postcard. Of course, we were able to fill it in on the back and everything. It can cause an upset stomach. You choose the latter. I'll make you a personalized one. And then once I get the iPad charged, it'll be quicker for me to send it out because the postage is included in it and everything. And I don't have to run off to the post office, which I'm going into town today anyways. I'm just so behind on everything, I'm telling you. So our water is ready. Let's, I'll show everybody what Casey sent me once we do our little tea leaf dance here. So I'm going to bring the camera back down and we're going to add our water and we'll see the little tea leaf dance. Ooh, it burped even. That was an added bonus. Okay, I'm going to close the lid on this. And while these little tea leaves are dancing, I'm just going to grab a protein bar real quick so I can indeed have something in my tummy. That didn't take long because I have them right here on the counter. Okay, and we're only going to let this steep 1 to 2 minutes, which is perfect because that gives me just enough time to A, take a bite of my protein bar real quick, and B, let's look at see what Casey sent us in the mail. So I'm going to eat in front of you guys. It's really good. It's an Atkins bar. Read that while I chew. I got a protein bar that requires a lot of mastication. So he sent us some seeds for our garden. And these are 2021 Blaze pumpkin seeds. We're going to plant them 1 inch deep, 36 inches apart. And we should have some beautiful pumpkins in 95 days. I will save these for my fall garden for this next season coming up. Thank you so much, Casey, for sending these to me. I love it. And hopefully they'll do well. I haven't had much luck with pumpkins, but I'm going to tuck this away and we will see about doing some pumpkins in a bit. Okay. Something's making noise. Yep. My iPad just died, so I won't be able to read a story unless I pull it up somehow on my laptop here. So, oh my goodness. I'm a little disheartened to learn that this could cause an upset stomach. So I will sip it slowly and I will see if I can add a little bit of sweetener to it. Look at how much our tea leaves have unfurled. Look at them doing their dance. I want to get it so you get a really nice look at what they're doing. They're so pretty. And as we've learned, as we've done the teas over the last 7 days, it looks different in the infuser than it does when I get it out into the cup. In the infuser, the color seems to be a little bit lighter. Once we get it into our cup, you get a deeper quality of the color. And then we'll sniff it, we'll smell it, we'll take a sip without any sweetener in it, see what I need to adjust it with. What do you say, Gwen? Should I jump up and grab some half and half? Do you think I'll probably need a little bit of milk with it along with the honey? Let me know the way that you like it. We'll try it the way you like it based on your suggestions. Or maybe I'll try, of course, I will take your suggestion, but maybe we'll try taking a sip without anything added to it, adding a little honey and taking a sip and seeing how we like it. Hello, Yossi. And then seeing maybe about adding a little bit of half and half. I don't have any heavy cream and I don't have any frothed milk, but maybe adding a little bit of half and half and seeing how we like it. We'll try it 3 different ways. What do you say? Maybe we'll try it that way. I'm sure we're at 1 to 2 minutes that we've been steeping this green tea. We don't want it to steep too long because then the tannins are released. So I've got my little trusty little clear coffee teacup so that you guys can see it as I pour it and you can see the pretty color. Let's bring the camera back down, or maybe some lemon juice if you like lemon. Oh, good morning. Good morning, Michelle. You're late. Hope you didn't ruin the tea without me. I did need a timer. I've just been yammering. I do have lemon juice. I can grab some lemon juice and I can grab some milk. So Let's bring the camera back down. We will get the tea out of the infuser so it's not sitting in there too long. And while it's when it's emptied, I'll jump up real quick and I'll grab some milk and see if I have any lemon juice in the fridge. Not quite sure if I have any in the fridge. Okay, here we go. La, 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 la. And we're going to take our beautiful little tea infuser. Now, I don't know if you can see the color that we've got going here with the tea. But like we said, every time we dispense it, it seems a little darker in the actual cup than it looks in the infuser. Can you hear it as it slowly pours out? Okay. There it is. Lemon and honey. I agree, Yossi. Lemon and honey. Yeah, I would only add one thing at a time, says Gwen. Lemon and honey is an excellent tea. This is a green tea. I'm not sure how many times I've even had green tea, so I'm not sure how that goes in green tea. But I could tell you it's fragrant. I can smell it. I wish you guys could sniff with me. Let's see. It does have a very, very faint fragrance to it. This is, Rochelle, welcome. It is an organic Japanese sencha tea. It is a green tea. There's no, it's just green tea. There was no other ingredients in it, just a green tea. Stevia is great in green tea. I don't have stevia. I have monk fruit. I have monk fruit. I have honey right here at the ready. I can jump up and see if I have lemon juice in the fridge. I know I have some in the pantry. Bye, Lynn. Come back later. Watch the replay. See if I see how I do with this green tea. But anyway, so it smells lovely. Let's just take a sip without anything in it. And of course, remembering I haven't even cleansed my palate after eating that little bit of a protein bar, because Gwen was kind enough to point out that green tea will upset your tummy if it's on an empty tummy. And I've not eaten anything yet this morning. So let's see. I can tell you right now, I'm going to be of the camp that needs to have a sweetener in a green tea. I don't care for it on its own. So let's just take a little bit of honey. This is some honey. It's not from my neighbor, but this one is from just down the road from a little apiary here in Iowa, so it is local. I drink mostly green tea. I put mint, honey, and lemon. Okay. Well, here's some honey. Let's try that, and then I will jump up, Yossi, and I will check the fridge to see if I have any lemon in the fridge. I might have some from when I was doing some canning earlier. Let's see. Not enough. Not enough, honey. Hang on. Because I just started with a smidge. I don't want to put too much in and go overboard. I want to do it just a little bit at a time. I'm really upset that my iPad has shut down because I wanted to read a story. And Rochelle says, I love mint green tea or jasmine. Well, I really do believe I've not been exposed to green tea very much. The most exposure I've had to green tea is the Karate Kid. And who knows what I'm talking about. Let's see. Oh, that's better. That's better with the honey. So who thinks I need to add a little bit of lemon? Let me see if I even have lemon. Give me 1 second. Nope, it's in the pantry. Now, if I were going to do this properly, I would have prepared myself with having some fresh organic lemons in the fridge or on the countertop so that I could have a little slice of lemon, squeeze it into my tea, but I'm not that prepared. I haven't been to the store in over a week. And so I didn't think ahead enough. When I go into town today, I will pick up a couple of lemons just so I have them handy. So in case we have another time where we're going to do a tea and maybe it would be beneficial to have a little bit of lemon in it. So I'm just going to put just a little skosh of lemon juice. I did shake it. I'll shake it again into our tea. Yossi says he has, before bed, he drinks green tea with chamomile. That is lovely. Good morning, Laura. Okay, so Laura and those who have come in recently, we are having an organic Japanese sencha green tea. I've already determined I don't like it without any additives. So everybody in the chat has been kind enough to suggest some things to add to it to make it a little bit more palatable for me. So we've added a little bit of honey from the state of Iowa we picked it up just down the road a little bit. And then we've just added a little bit of lemon. So let's give it another sip and see if we like it. Oh, that does change the profile. That's pretty palatable. You get just a little bit of the tang from the lemon, and then it follows up with the sweet afterwards. And that's actually very, very nice. Thank you for the suggestion, guys. I like that. I like that. So while we sip our tea and my iPad has died and I'm going to put a little bit more in my tummy, let's discuss what I've been working on. I shared with you, see how I hold it over my face? You can't see that I'm eating. So I'm not completely rude. I've been working on my snood. So I went up into my craft room and I raided my yarn. Everybody suggested that we try a snood in cherry red, a bright Christmassy red. And I don't know if you can tell. I'll hold this up closer to see if you can tell. This has bits of glittery floss in the yarn itself. So very basic design. I might be doing a tutorial on it. There aren't very many tutorials on how to make a snood. Now, there were some patterns I could buy, but I thought instead of buying a pattern, why don't I check YouTube, see if there are any tutorials. There were a few. Some of them I felt were poorly done, but I did find one that was decent. And so I've been kind of, I spilled a little bit of tea. I don't want to get it on my snood. I kind of modified it to my liking. And so I might go ahead. So I need to make this as big as a dinner plate. I'm not quite there yet, but for those of you who don't know what a snood is, if you think of the 1940s or the Civil War era, they would have this hairnet. Now, when I get done, I will put some ribbon through it and I will gather all of my hair up. I'll curl it and make it really, really pretty in the back. I will but I will part my hair right here so that I've got the front. I will bump it up and put it into a clip. And then the rest of the hair I will gather up and this snood will kind of wrap it like a hairnet. And then so it will be a very decorative, very pretty, very delicate little hairnet that will be true to the time period of the Civil War because we're going to a Christmas party on Saturday for a Civil War reenactment group. So that way my hair will be in a snood and maybe I'll blend in just a little bit. It's a bag for a ponytail or a loose bun. Yes. Yes. So I'm working on my bag and I'll be done by today. I mean, they don't take very long. I just, I started it last night while I was sitting watching a couple things on YouTube and then I got tired. So I set it aside, did a couple more rounds this morning and I'll have it finished by this evening. And then, I'm trying to decide if I want to crochet some elastic into it or if I want to go ahead and weave in a ribbon and then pin it to the top of my head once I get it in place. Either way, it'll be pinned. So I'll be picking up some bobby pins while I'm out today too. But I thought the red was really pretty. It should go nice with a black skirt. Oh, look, choose to select what happens to my iPad. I want it to charge. That's what I want it to do. It's being silly. It's a horrible name for a cute scarf. I know, Snood. And I don't know, Rochelle, did you hear my story yesterday about Snood? Asking my new coworker if he played Snood on his computer because it was a game back in the early 2000s. For those of you who missed it, I was showing the ropes of the school to a new computer teacher who had come in and trying to come up with something to talk about back and forth. I asked him if he likes to play Snood. And he kind of stumbled from it. He says, well, yeah, sometimes I play, my computer in the nude, but usually I wear clothes. He thought I asked him if he plays his games on his computers with no clothes on. You did watch it while you were sewing. Gwen says she used to have a Snood that she wore when we did Civil War reenactments. And that's exactly why I'm making this. Because not only do I want to wear it to the Civil War reenactment party, Papa Jim and I are considering possibly joining ranks with this Civil War reenactment group. They've invited us to join. Papa Jim's still a little bit on the fence. I want to go kind of feel the temperature of things at this Christmas party, see how things are. He has his reservations. So, and it is entirely up to him. And it's not something I'll do without him. So either we both, or we both join or we both don't. So you got up to make tea and coffee. You may have missed some. So yeah, that was the story. Is I embarrassed myself entirely in front of this male teacher by asking him if he played the game Snood, and he thought I asked him if he played his computer in the nude, and it was very awkward when he confessed to me that sometimes he likes to sit around with no clothes on and play on his computer. It's very embarrassing. This is very nice. This is very nice. I could see somebody saying, would you like some green tea? And me saying yes. But do you remember was it the second movie for the Karate Kid when Mr. Miyagi takes Daniel over to Japan? And oh gosh, I just thought of her name and I can't think of it. Yukio. Was it Yukio? Was the girl that Daniel kind of got a crush on. And she did this whole tea ceremony making green tea for him. It was very, very lovely. Very lovely. So my iPad is dead. I don't know if I'm able to, do you guys want a story today from my blog? I can see if I can pull it up on the iPad or on my laptop. It's difficult when you've got it somewhere else and you can't remember your own address to your own blog. Oh, we do. I found it. I did find it. So let's see. Should I find a story for you guys? We'll read off of my blog today. Let's see what I've got. Let's do a funny one today. The last couple of days have kind of been a little bit too serious. So we can do a funny one. Okay, let's do this one. This is one that I adapted from somebody else's story, but it's going to apply because, Papa Jim told me this morning or last night, I can't remember. I'm so confused all the time. He said, I might want to go into town to get my stuff done today because we're expecting snow. So right now it's sunshiny outside and everything is beautiful, but there's a storm coming in. We're going to get some snow. And he said, maybe it would just be better if I went and got all the chicken feed and got my shopping done today. And that way I don't have to worry about it. I usually like to go in on Friday because I like to go to the little thrift store so that I could see if I could get any little bargains at the thrift store. And they're only open on Friday and Saturday. But I might have to change things up and go in today instead. So today's story, let me switch back over to StreamYard, make sure I'm not missing any comments or anything. The story I chose for today out of my blog here is The Diary of a Snow Shoveler. And you may have heard this before. I just kind of put it a little bit more to how it applies to us. So, Diary of a Snow Shoveler. And this was written... When did I write this one? It doesn't say. Huh. Usually they have the date, and when I post these, and then, oh wait, there it is. I don't know why it's not telling me. It doesn't matter. It was on a day that it snowed. So I start my story off by saying it snowed last night. I got up 3 times in the middle of the night to check to see how much had fallen. And then I got up this morning, grabbed a cup of coffee, and sat in my living room, enjoying how the sun reflected off the snow. I remembered a funny story my husband had shared a few years ago. Not only did he share it with me, but he photocopied it and passed it around to everyone at work, proclaiming that the elements of the story were the very reason he would never move back to Iowa. This is when we lived in California when he did that. Before he'd never moved back to Iowa, he hated snow. And yet, here we are in Iowa, preparing for our first full winter. So this would have been in probably 2013 that I wrote this. When we arrived in March, we brought a blizzard with us. God, why can't I speak this morning? I need a sip of tea. When we arrived in March, we brought a blizzard with us. It literally rode in on our coattails. And I know the neighbors are still blaming us. And then we experienced a freak blizzard in May. In May, who gets snowstorms in May? Well, we did. And I know that the neighbors are blaming us for this one too. Let's just go for the trifecta and take credit for the flooding that happened here in June while we're at it. This resulted in the entire moldification of our son's basement living area, and he now sleeps in my craft room. So not only did we have a blizzard, we had another blizzard in May, and then we really did get flooding, and the entire basement in the little house that we were renting flooded. And he just had mold crawling up the walls. We had to rip out the whole little living area he had down there. Back to the story. At the moment, we still have our sanity and our smiling, but much as the individual in this story I'm about to share, I anticipate the entire meltdown as the season progresses. We are told to expect a rough winter. I'm sure we'll get blamed for that one as well. So enjoyed your reader at my expense is what I put there. And we did have a pretty rough winter. I think we're going to have a rough winter this year as well. We've seen the little woolly caterpillars, and they're pretty dark. They don't have very many bands of brown. They've got quite a bit of black on them, which usually means a nice, cold, hard winter. Have you read Pioneer Woman's book, Black Heels to Tractor Wheels? No, I have not, Gwen. I have not. I will have to add that to my list of things to read. Okay, The Diary of a Snow Shoveler. And as I say this, as I read it, I can see the 2 snow shovels right outside the window that Papa Jim has prominently placed right there. If it snows while he's gone away at work during the day, I will go out and I will shovel off the porch so that when he comes home, he doesn't have to trudge through the snow. But he always has them right there. He's really good. I just shovel a walkway. He will shovel like 3 or 4 walkways so that I can do everything I need to do throughout the day. It's very, very sweet that he does that. All right. So The Diary of a Snow Shoveler, day 1, 6 p.m. It started to snow. The first snow of the season, and the wife and I took our cocktails and sat for hours by the window, watching the huge, soft snowflakes drift down from heaven. It looked like a Grandma Moses print. So romantic. We felt like newlyweds again. I love snow. Day 2. We woke up to a beautiful blanket of crystal white snow covering every inch of the landscape. What a fantastic sight. Can there be a more lovely place in the whole world? Moving here was the best idea I ever had. Shoveled for the first time in years and felt like a boy again. I did both our driveway and the sidewalks. This afternoon, the snowplow came along and covered up the sidewalks and closed in the driveway. So I got to shovel again. What a perfect life. Day 3. The sun has melted all our lovely snow. Such a disappointment. My neighbor tells me not to worry. We'll definitely have a white Valentine's Day. No snow in February would be awful. No, I got to put a comma there. No, snow in February would be awful. Bob says we'll have so much snow by the end of winter that I'll never want to see snow again. I don't think that's possible. Bob is such a nice man. I'm glad he's our neighbor. Day 4. Snow, lovely snow, 8 inches last night. The temperature dropped to the teens. The cold makes everything sparkle so. The wind took my breath away, but I warmed up by shoveling the driveway and the sidewalks. This is the life. The snowplow came back by this afternoon and buried everything again. I didn't realize I would have to do quite this much shoveling, but I'll certainly get back in shape this way. Day 5. 20 inches forecast. I sold my van and I bought a 4x4 Blazer. We did the same thing. We have 2 4x4s now. Bought snow tires for the wife's car and 2 extra shovels. Isn't that funny? I just said we have 2 shovels out front. Stocked the freezer. We've done that. The wife wants a wood stove in case the electricity goes out. I think that's silly. We're not in Alaska after all. We've got the pellet stove. And we have the wood burning stove out in the summer kitchen just in case. Oh my goodness, this is so true to life. When I wrote it, it was like it was our first winter here, but now looking back after being here for 10 or so winters, it's really making me laugh. If you live where you get good snow, you know. Day 6, ice storm this morning. Fell on my butt on the ice in the driveway putting down salt. Hurt like heck. The wife laughed for an hour, which I think is very cruel. When we first moved here and we brought that blizzard in on our coattails, we came out here with our 5th wheel. And so we parked the 5th wheel in our son's yard, and setting it up, Jim fell twice in the ice. And I mean, he fell and hit hard. And I just thought, oh gosh, he's going to just hook it right back up to the truck and we're leaving. He'll never stay in Iowa because he's fallen twice now. So glad he stayed. Oh my goodness. Day 7. Temperature is way below freezing. Roads too icy to go anywhere. Electricity was off for 5 hours. I had to pile the blankets on to stay warm. We've had to do that. And I tell Jim, it's like, my elbows are cold. He still teases me because I told him that one time when it was negative 35 outside and we lost power and this house got cold quick. And I said, my elbows are cold. He still teases me about my cold elbows. Nothing to do but stare at the wife and try not to irritate her. Guess I should have bought a wood stove, but won't admit it to her. God, I hate it when she's right. I can't believe I'm freezing to death in my own living room. I'm laughing because we've lived it. It's so true. Day 8. And just so you guys know, I can't see the if anybody's commenting anything because I'm on a different. February is your worst month. Yes. Okay. Day 8. Electricity is back on, but another 14 inches of that bleep white stuff last night. More shoveling. Took all day. Bleeping snowplow came back twice. I tried to find a neighborhood kid to shovel, but they said they're too busy playing hockey. I think they're lying. I called the only hardware store around to see about buying a snowblower, and they're all out. Might have another shipment in March. I think they're lying. Bob says I have to shovel or the city will have it done and bill me for it. I think he's lying. Poor guy. Day 9. Bob was right about winters here because 13 more inches of that white crap fell today, and it is so cold. It probably won't melt until August. It took me 45 minutes to get all dressed up to go out to shovel, and then I had to poop. By the time I got undressed, pooped, and dressed back up again, I was too tired to shovel. Tried to hire Bob, who has a plow on his truck for the rest of the winter, but he said he's too busy. I think the jerk is lying. Oh my God, this is funny. I will say that Farmer Fred down the way did come plow our driveway for us last winter because he was concerned about us. It was very sweet of him. Our tractor wouldn't start. Day 10, only 2 inches of snow today, and it warmed up to 15 degrees. The wife wanted me to clean the porch furniture this morning. What? Is she nuts? Why didn't she tell me to clean them months ago and cover them? She says she did, but I think she's lying. Day 11, 6 inches of snow packed so hard by the snow plow, I broke the shovel. Thought I was having a heart attack. If I ever catch the man who drives that snow plow, I'll drag him through the snow by his nose and beat him with my broken shovel. I know he hides around the corner and waits for me to finish shoveling, and then he comes down the street at 100 miles an hour and throws snow all over where I've just been. Tonight, the wife wanted me to watch a romantic movie with her, but I was too busy watching for the snowplow driver. Out here on these gravel roads, out here in the rural part of town, they have the big snow plows. And I'm talking, they've got these big plows like what you see on the front of a train. And they fly down this road and they throw the snow, I'm not kidding, 20 feet in both directions. The snow just flies. They go so fast. It's so funny. Day 12. Happy Valentine's Day. 20 more inches of the slop tonight. We're snowed in. The idea of shoveling makes my blood boil. I hate snow. Then the snowplow driver came by asking for a donation. And I hit him over the head with my shovel. The wife says I have a bad attitude. I think she's a freaking idiot. If I have to watch Sleepless in Seattle one more time, I'm going to stuff her into the microwave. Oh my God. I haven't read this in a while. It's so funny. Day 13. Have I lost you guys? Are you still with me? Let me go back to StreamYard and see if you guys are still with me. Okay, some of you are still here. Okay, moving on. Day 13. Still snowed in. Why the heck did I ever move here? It was all her idea. She's really getting on my nerves. Day 14. Temperature dropped to a record low and the pipes froze. Plumber came after 14 hours waiting for him. He only charged me $1,400 to replace all of my pipes. Day 15. Warmed up to above 18 degrees. Woohoo! Still snowed in. The witch is driving me crazy. Day 16. Still more snow. Bob says I have to shovel the roof or it could cave in. That's the silliest thing I ever heard. How dumb does he think I am? Day 17. Roof caved in. I beat up the snowplow driver. He's now suing me for $1 million, not only for the beating I gave him, but for also trying to shove the broken snow shovel where the sun doesn't shine. The wife went home to her mother. More snow predicted. Oh my God, this poor man. Day 18. Oh my God, I can't handle it. I set fire to what's left of the house. No more shoveling. Day 19. Oh, I feel so good. I just love those little white pills they keep giving me. Why am I tied to the bed? My God. Oh, my Lord. That's so funny. It's funny because I remember laughing at it when I first read it. And then I remember laughing at it when I first put it in the blog. But now that we've lived here so long and we've experienced so many of those things. Oh, there's no such thing as a snowplow in Texas. Goodness. Oh gosh, I hope you guys got a laugh. I got such a laugh out of that. That's so funny. Let me go back and see what I missed. Um, Rochelle says, I read the brown actually means the age of the caterpillar, like the rings on a tree. And that might be for the ones up there. I don't know if it's a geographical thing, but here in the Midwest, they're the woolly caterpillars, and the brown is supposed to mean the more brown, the milder the winter. The less brown, the harsher the winter. I was speaking with a man at the hardware store the other day. Oh gosh. And he said, the more, was it acorns or walnuts? If you have a lot of walnuts, you're going to have a heavy winter. And he said this year he picked up buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets of walnuts. So he told me, and he was an old-timey farmer. He must have been 90 years old. He told me we were going to have a harsh winter just based on what his trees were doing. So I don't know. Oh, Yossi's baking bread. Yum. Oh, I want to bake some bread today. That sounds so good. Gwen says it was available on her blog. Not sure if it still is since she actually published the book. I read it chapter by chapter as she wrote it. It was hilarious. Make you cry. I'll have to look to see if I can find that, Gwen. And yes, February is technically usually the worst month. February and March are very rough here. I have my best friend who lives down in Tennessee. She's saying, well, she doesn't think she'll be able to make it up for a visit in January. How about February? I said, okay. She says, why are you laughing? I said, well, we get more snow in February than we do in January. She goes, well, what about March? And I laughed again. So we'll see if she's even able to make it up until springtime. The snowplow drivers are the devil. Oh my goodness. I love things like this when someone has such a great sense of humor. Oh my gosh. I couldn't help but laughing because 8 years, 9 years, gosh, it's almost been 10 years here. We've been 10 years coming up in Iowa and then 9 years on the farm. And everything that he discussed is something that we've had to deal with one way or the other than my husband call me a witch. Because if he calls me a witch, we're going to have a come to Jesus meeting. As far as I know, he's never gotten that upset with me when we're all snowed in. We've been snowed in at this farm for 8 days straight one time. And I think we got along pretty well. But that poor man, I'm telling you, he's been so good. He's been so good about, when we were planning our trip to go down to Tennessee, and I said, we're going to be driving right by Laura Ingalls' house. I want to go to Laura Ingalls. I said, you should know a little bit more about Laura Ingalls because this is the second place we will have gone to. We've been up to Walnut Grove in Minnesota, and he humored me with that. I said, so, did you watch Little House on the Prairie when you were growing up? I asked him. He says, hey. He may have seen a little bit here and there when I've watched it in the past, but he's never really watched it. He didn't know the characters. I said, well, we got to watch it before we go. So we started season 1, episode 1, and we watched all 9 seasons of Little House on the Prairie. And he did really well. He's like, oh, now I know who Nellie is. And, oh, that Mrs. Olsen, and he really got to know all the characters and he enjoyed it. And so when we were done with that, I'm reading chapter by chapter Anne of Green Gables. So then we watched Anne of Green Gables, the one with Megan Follows. And then he really wasn't into it, but I introduced him to Anne with an E on Netflix. He really liked that one. It gets a little bit more in depth to the characters. The dark side of Anne's time when she was living in an orphanage, it really gets much, much deeper into the storyline. So he watched all of Anne with an E with me. And now we've moved on to the Waltons. He's watching all of the Waltons with me. And I'm in the middle of watching Little Women. I spared him from watching Little Women with me. He's been really good about watching all of these other ones. Denise, it's great, right? She says, yes, they say that, but it really means their age. Interesting. I had not heard that one. It was a funny story. Goodness sakes. Are the reasons why we moved from Ontario, Canada to Oregon, my parents would always complain about plowing the snow, and we didn't ever have a snowblower. When we moved to the farm, we got a snowblower, which was completely useless on a property of this size with, the driveway. It's not like you're just going to plow the sidewalk for your neighbor to walk or the mailman. we needed a tractor. So we got a tractor instead. And here I moved from Oregon to Ontario. uh, I want to watch Anne with an E with Sid. I really, if you're a fan of Anne of Green Gables with Megan Follows, it's hard to switch gears and accept this new Anne and a new Marilla and a new Matthew. It's a little hard to switch gears. So, but if you give it a few episodes, she grows on you. The in-depth story of her life, living with the families that she lived with and being in the orphanage, that really gives you much more of an idea of who she is. And I've got to admit it, I actually like this Matthew better. He's really grown on me. His mannerisms are so funny and his expressions on his face. And I've really grown to love Matthew in this Anne with an E on Netflix. So if you get the chance to watch it, I recommend it, but it is not the PBS, version of Anne of Green Gables. But I really did enjoy it. So do you think she should watch the original first? I don't know. Personally, I think they're two different things for sure. The one with Megan Follows, the original, it's much more, I think, romanticized. Even though Anne doesn't like her red hair and feels that she's homely, she's still a cute little girl. And I mean, I don't mean to say this disparagingly, but Anne with an E, she's skinny as a rail. I mean, I would definitely see where Rachel Lynde would have a fit seeing this girl. And she's I'm going to put this the kind way. She's the proverbial ugly duckling that needs to grow up into her beautiful swan. Where Megan Follows was always kind of cute, she wasn't necessarily that ugly duckling. This one really makes you see where it would be very easy for people to mistreat her and for her to accept that she's homely and ugly and an evil, wicked child when she's not. And you see the transformation in her as, I would say, do Anne with an E, and then maybe go back and compare and contrast with the original and see which way you feel about it. I really do like what Netflix did with this series. She has no interest in reading it. We've tried. I'm reading it. For the first time, I'm reading it. I'm sharing the chapters. And I'm finding that reading it after watching both the original and Anne with an E, I can visualize things in my mind as they're happening. And I do appreciate that. And it helps give me a little bit deeper scope on reading it. So, hello, Pioneer Girl. She's never seen any of them. Yeah, I would try. If it were me, if my granddaughter would come over right now, I would say, let's watch Anne with an E, because I know that she would appreciate the depth of the Anne with an E. I think she'd probably get bored with Anne of Green Gables, because I think there's two schools on the original Anne of Green Gables. You either are a romantic at heart when you're a young girl and you watch Anne of Green Gables and you love it instantly, or you see it later in life as you've matured and you've had a couple of relationships and children, and you can view it that way and you appreciate it. But if you're a teenage girl and your mother or your grandmother says, here, watch this classic Anne of Green Gables, I can see them going, yeah, I don't think so. I know if I were to do that with my granddaughter right now, if she were to come over and I put the original Anne of Green Gables in, she wouldn't do it. It would not hold her attention long enough. But Anne with an E, because it has those in-depth dark times in her life that they tell you about, I think I could get her to watch that one. Laura says, I love Anne of Green Gables and Little House on the Prairie. I do too. So I'm really enjoying reading Anne. I'm really enjoying that we've watched all of the Little House on the Prairie series, and we're able to go to Laura's home. It was so nice to go to Laura Ingalls and Almanzo's home, having a little bit more depth and knowledge, because I read some additional books before I went down. And it was interesting because I would speak to the historians and the docents, and I knew things, and they liked that I knew things. And I even had one say, I wish people who visited, took the time to know some of these things. I actually did an interview. I'm still editing it where I interviewed some of the historians and I asked them, what would you want people to know? If they were to ask you anything other than the regular questions they always ask you, what would you want them to ask? And they shared some insight with me. She led a very interesting life. But now we're watching the Waltons. It did. I think my cousin sent me a message. We will watch black and whites, even though Randy won't. Oh, she loves watching old movies. Then she might appreciate the original Anne of Green Gables. That's why I'm saying there's two. I think there's two schools of it. You know, either you really appreciate those at a young age, or you don't. So now we're watching the Waltons, and loving watching the Waltons. And I told Papa Jim from the very beginning, I got to warn you, when John Boy does his little epilogue at the end, I weep every time, and I do. I can't help it. I checked mine and no messages. Yeah, it was mine. I got the phone sitting right here. I'll have to look them up. I haven't read them either, but I've been watching the show and I watch both shows. Yes. Just really, I always, you know what I did? I did a book review too on another book. I just have to edit it. I'm so behind on editing. But I read the book that Allison Arngrim wrote, and Allison was Nellie Olson in the Little House on the Prairie series. And I read her book. And, you know, they have shirts and they have all kinds of things that says, in a world full of Nellies, be a Laura. And after reading her book, I have to say at the end, now I've read Nellie's autobiography and I've read Melissa Gilbert's autobiography. And I'm not throwing any shade on Melissa Gilbert. But after reading both, in a world full of Lauras, I'd rather be a Nellie. That girl has some tenacity. She has some fire. She put up with some really harrowing things in her childhood. And she has a great sense of humor. And she doesn't take herself too seriously. She doesn't name drop all the time. I really enjoyed her book. I read her book in 2 days, where I struggled through Melissa's book for days and days, and I didn't even finish it. I just took it back to the library because there was just something about her writing style. I just couldn't do it. But Allison Arngrim, I liked her book. And her book is Confessions of a Prairie Bleep. Starts with the B. I really enjoyed that book. And it makes you understand a little bit more about not only Nellie, the character that she played, but the girl who played her. I recommend that book. I like that book a lot. So having said that, so we're enjoying the Waltons. I cry at the end of every episode, and I really like that Jim is getting into it as well. He says, you know, when he was growing up, maybe if somebody was channel surfing through the 3 channels we had as a kid, maybe somebody would land on the Waltons for 5 or 10 minutes. That's really the only exposure he got. So now he's learning about them as well. And I encouraged him, don't look these actors up. And of course he did. He goes, I learned something about Mary Ellen. And I was like, what did you learn? He goes, oh my gosh, she did this when she was an adult. It's like, yeah, don't look things up about the actors. They're not the same people. I remember when the father, John Walton, when he was pretty much done with acting, he ran for Congress. And this was when we were in Southern California. I thought, I'll vote for that man. I will vote for the father on the Waltons. I'll vote for Daddy. I'll vote for Daddy Walton. I will. That's a good, upstanding family man. I will vote for him. And I started reading what his platform was, what he stood for, what he believed in. I was like, oh, you're not the person I thought you were. You're not Daddy Walton. And it was at that point where I realized I had to separate the man from the character. And he didn't get my vote based on his political beliefs. Right now, I'm reading a lot of Amish stories in American history. Oh, I love the Amish stories. Those were my mother's favorites. The Amish stories, and my mother loved Jeanette Oke. Love Comes Softly. She loved Jeanette Oke as an author. And I probably need to read some of those. I can't read them on the YouTube channel, but I probably should check some of those out. What I'm reading right now, and I did a book review. Again, I have to edit it. I did a book review on a historically based work of fiction based on the Carnton plantation where we visited on our trip. And the plantation was actually taken over by Confederate troops to be a field hospital. And we've talked about this on our lives. So I read the first book, which was very good. And the book was based on actual factual letters between the governess and a soldier that she cared for. And they ended up, falling in love and having a family. Ooh, Red Amish Mysteries. Ooh, I like that. I'll have to look into those. Can you drop me a couple of names of some books of the Amish Mysteries that you like to read? Or send them to me in a private message? I like that because I'm going to run into the library today. Maybe I'll grab one. But the one for the Carnton plantation, it's a series of 3. I'm on the second book right now. But I really enjoyed the first book. So I'm enjoying reading. I'm enjoying going back to some of those old shows and kind of grabbing onto those family values again and spending the time with Papa Jim. And I got to tell you, the first couple of episodes of something, I'm like, okay, sit down. I've got this drink for you. Fix Papa Jim a Diet Coke when he comes home. I've got your drink. We've had our dinner. Here's a blanket. Let's settle in and let's watch an episode of Little House of the Prairie. And he's like, okay. After a few episodes, he'd come home from work and he'd sit down and he would put Little House on the Prairie on. He goes, you ready for an episode? Yes, I am. And he's getting that way now with the Waltons too. It's like he'll come home, do what we've got to do to get settled for the evening, and he'll put the Waltons on. He's like, you ready for another episode? Yes, I am. So I'm really enjoying. Now I got to figure out what we're going to watch after that. I don't know what show we'll watch next. We need to finish up a couple of shows that we've started that we have had new seasons released that we need to watch. But right now, for now, it's the Waltons. I've read the Amish Mysteries. All right. And Laura's reading the Amish stories. Rochelle's reading Amish stories. That tea is even good after it cools down. Wonder if I can get a second batch out of this. If I pour more hot water on it and have a second cup while I finish my snood. Anyways, okay, friends, it's been an hour. I'm losing you guys. You're dropping like flies. I know everybody's got things to do in the middle of their day here, and I have to get into town before the snow hits. I love the fabulous Mrs. Maisel. Tits up. Oh, can I say that? A titmouse is a very beautiful bird. Did I recover? When I had chemo and my hair grew back in and it grew in this funny gray peak, I told people I looked like a titmouse. So that covers that. I did not say what I said from that show, but I love Mrs. Maisel. But there's just other ones we've started. I don't think there's been any new ones from Mrs. Maisel that I can get caught up on. You never notice. Good deal. 7:00 there in Israel. Yossi, your day's wrapping up then. How about for Brampton Gardner? Have you watched? Why can't I think of it? Call the Midwife. Have you watched Call the Midwife? I've enjoyed that one. So the Fabulous Mrs. Maisel's on Netflix, I believe, or is it on Prime? Agatha Raisin is fun. I've enjoyed, like I said, Call the Midwife. We watched some of the seasons of Cobra Kai. It got a little bit too cheesy, I think, for Jim, but I loved all the references back to the Karate Kid movies. Miss Fisher's Mysteries. Ooh. Oh, you can't watch Call the Midwife. It makes you sad. I like that it's based on her actual journals. Jenny, it's based on her actual journals. I do like that. I think because my mom was a nurse, I kind of just, it is sad. They lived in very sad conditions. That sounds good too. I'll have to read that right now. I'm reading a little series, Lancaster's Country Sagas. Ooh, you guys have some great ideas for some things that you're doing. I've been thinking about reading, I guess, or not reading, but watching. I guess there's a series, Enola Holmes. It's Sherlock Holmes' little sister. I've heard that's really good, so I might look into that. I love watching Father Brown. I think he's so funny. I understand then. Absolutely. Rochelle. No explanation needed. Father Brown, I like watching him because he's so funny and he's always in the cop's way and they don't like it, but he always solves the mysteries. You love Enola Holmes. I'll have to look into that one then. Just movie, though, first and second. Okay. And I like the new Sherlock Holmes that were set out with Cumberbatch. What's his first name? Is it Engelbert Cumberbatch? I liked that one because he's like this, but once he solves something, it's like, oh, yes, okay. Hello, Little Ridge Farm. Sister Boniface and Death in Paradise. Okay. I'll look into Enola and see if Jim, he'll probably call her Ebola. It's like, he's goofy that way. But once we get done with the Waltons, we'll move on to something else and see what he wants to watch. So, but, Little Ridge Farm's just showing up and we were getting ready to say goodbye because we're all Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes. Where did I come up with Engelbert Humperdinck? Prince Humperdinck. The Princess Bride. All these that's my phone, by the way, Gwen. Don't worry. That's me. All right, friends. I'm so sorry that Little Ridge Farm just got here and we're getting ready to leave. Make sure before you guys leave, hit the thumbs up. If you get a chance and you're driving somewhere, just put the replay on so you can listen to the Snow Shovel's Diary if you didn't get to listen to the Snow Shoveler's Diary. And we will be back tomorrow, 10:15 Central Time. We will try day 8. I have to tell you guys, I'm very impressed with myself that I've actually followed through with 7 days of combing out my hair, getting dressed, except for the couple times I've been in my nightgown, and coming to you guys live because I'm not very good at following through with things. So day 7 in the books, and we'll be back tomorrow morning for day 8. I'm going to sip what's left of the rest of my green tea, and I will talk to all of you tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a blessed day. And I love you all. And I'll see you in the morning. All right. I'm going to read my last couple of comments in case I need to say anything. And then I'm going to click the button that says end broadcast. You're impressed. Bye. And Laura, got to go get lunch ready. Thank you so much. Oh, no, it's Rochelle. I'm telling you, as I read things, Rochelle's getting lunch. Laura likes the Midwife Show. And Little Ridge Farm says it's quite okay that we're leaving and they just got here. Hopefully they'll get to see some of the replays. All right, friends. Bye, Yossi. We will see you guys soon. Take care. End broadcast.